Stop-motion animation has long captivated the imagination of people around the world. There is a side of it, however, that many find disturbing, creepy even. This is known as the uncanny valley. Simply put, the idea that an object we recognize as something inanimate is suddenly moving, as if alive. Though some animators actually play into the distress that comes with the uncanny valley. One great example are the brothers Quay, or the Quay brothers, and their odd shorts. In their films, we often see skeletal-like figures, hollow and dirty baby doll faces, and even very pale figures. These human-esque but not quite human actors play with two different versions of the uncanny valley, a recognizable person and a recognizable inanimate. The Quay brothers also tend to use dirtier aesthetics and dark environments in order to develop the viewer's unease. An animator like Jiri Trnka, on the other hand, is quite successful in avoiding most of the creepiness in his films. Trnka also uses human-esque figures, but with a different effect. His actors are just non-human enough to avoid the dual uncanny valley. In Trnka's film The Hand, we watch a simple artist struggle against the government's demands to create only propaganda. The character himself has dark shadows around his eyes, but has a sweet caring for his potted plant that counteracts the creepiness of the character. Trnka also uses lots of bright colors and tidy sets to ease any unsettling parts of his films. Jiri Trnka also uses a traditional narrative style, while the Quay brothers tend to be more experimental. They once stated in an interview, "For us the studio is above all else a laboratory to experiment in. If we slavishly followed a storyboard, we would be dead or have already died of boredom." Perhaps in addition to the disturbing nature of their films is the lack of traditional narrative. Characterization of these figures would easily bring some humanity to these otherwise alien scenarios, but the Quay brothers reject that completely. Trnka also combats the uncanny valley with genre. Most of his films include comedy and romance, genres most audiences are accustomed to. These familiar themes reduce the strangeness created by moving puppets and create films that some might even describe as cute. An interesting piece of both filmmakers' styles is a lack of facial movements. Trnka rarely changes the expressions of his characters, and the same with the Quay brothers. Both utilize the movements of the character's body as the main means of expression. It could be argued that this is to save on animation costs, as you don't need replacement parts or alterations. The lack of facial movement has become a stylistic choice to many. Regardless, Trnka is still able to make cute films without the realism of facial movement, though he does interject the opening and closing of eyes, making it somewhat realistic. What the Quay brothers do with eyes is quite unsettling. Here we have two very different filmmakers using the same medium and even some of the same stylistic choices with completely different results. While the Quay brothers' films have been described as perverse, Jiri Trnka works in fairy tales and a bit of silliness. Both of these are made possible by color choices, character design, and of course the story, or lack thereof. Neither could be claimed better than the other, as their intentions seem almost completely opposite. But it is interesting to note how the uncanny valley may sway to an extreme discomfort or to a charming fairy tale.